Hello, this is Nicole and welcome to No, It's Crochet. Today we are going to be doing a review of the new website GoSadi. If you haven't heard about it, totally understand it is actually still in beta testing, but they have been talking about it on some of the crochet groups and knitting groups and forums and that kind of thing. So I thought I'd dive in and give you some of my first impressions of what I think. I have been using it a little bit as a maker. So they have sort of two levels. They have the maker level, which is for those of us that don't actually have patterns to put out to the public, and then they have the designer level. And so right now I'm just testing the maker level because I only have one pattern for sale. So there you go. So we're going to dive in. I'm going to flip the camera around so you can watch my screen as I kind of do a walkthrough of it, share a little bit about what I know about this platform and what I'm discovering, and kind of figure out whether or not this is something that you want to use. One of the major benefits, I'm going to say up front, of this particular program, while they do not have an app that you can download in like the iStore, the Apple Store, that one, I'm not obviously an iPhone user, as you can see, or in the Google Store. They don't have apps like that, but the website is extremely mobile friendly, which is a huge win. So like if you're a regular user of Ravelry, where the site is not mobile optimized and it's kind of archaic, it hasn't had a facelift since mobile phones have been a thing, then this one is going to be a really good potential thing for you to use. But let's find out. Let's dive over. First, we're going to just do the desktop version. And then I will do some screen recording of me kind of going through what it looks like on mobile, just so that you have a good sense of what that feels like comparing, because obviously it's harder for me to record and do a mobile review. So anyway, let's go take a look. All right. Okay, so here we've got the GoSadi homepage, and you can see it is GoSadi with an I.com. So if you come here, you can apply to be a beta tester if you're interested in kind of testing it out from the very beginning stages like I am. You can also see, they've got the designer sections so that they're trying to get more and more designers listed on their site for sure. Now, if you're like me, the first thing you might want to know is what the pricing is. And again, they have different pricing for whether it is a designer or a maker. And the maker, they have the free level. They have a $5 a month, which allows you to kind of connect your social media channels, do a little bit more along those lines. I believe once they're out of the beta, or once we're out of the kind of testing phase, they're going to need you to do the $5 a month in order to connect to your Ravelry. And then they have the $500 one-time lifetime fee. The price for that is a little bit on the high side, because if you do the math for it, that would require you being subscribed for a minimum of 8 years to sort of get the benefit out of it. Now, the caveat on that is they probably will raise the price over time. So $5 a month it would take you a little over 5 years to break even, but as they increase the price, then that break even point will probably decrease. So, but let's go figure out, is it worth even $5 a month? So when I first log in, I get to this place called Maker Dashboard. And, if I'm brand new to the site, I really don't know what this is. And so I'm going to have to kind of do a little bit of exploring to figure out what it is. But it appears as though I have gone to this Tamara Kelly or Moogly, who is actually the same person, and I have favorited that designer so that whenever she puts out a new design on here, it's going to show up from my favorite designers. Now, if I have other designers that I'll kind of share with you a little bit more about, then they're going to show up here as well. The creator of the site, Michelle Costa, has said that one of the things that she thought about was eliminating the algorithm, which means it's not about what they think you should be seeing, but about what you want to see. So that's kind of one of her emphases is to eliminate the algorithm and just give you what it is that you want to see. You get to tell it, hey, this is what I want to see, instead of being dictated what you're supposed to be seeing. So that's a good theory, a good philosophy for sure. And if we scroll down here, then we get to the My Queue, My Whip projects, create a new project, and then just kind of the release details, which most of us will never need to look at that. All right, so over here on the dashboard, we have My Account, which basically is, kind of your general information, the billing information, your subscription level, and settings. So you can put your email and all that kind of good stuff in there. And if we close that, then our focus is on projects. Here is where we can create a new project. We can look at the patterns that we love. So just kind of playing around, I have some in here that I've hearted or said that I love. You can see what your queue is, which means what's coming up. And of course, you can look at your works in progress. These are the 2 works in progress I have. You can look at your finished objects. So these are all the things that you've finished. And then, different from patterns I love, you can actually favorite projects that I love. And I do really like this feature of it. I don't have anything favorited at this point in time, but an example would be if I went out to a designer's pattern. I like the pattern, but more specifically, I like how this one individual used a variegated yarn instead of just a regular yarn. So I want to favorite that project because, or maybe they added an extra embellishment or did some customizing on the sleeves. So I can favorite those projects, not just the pattern. So when I go back to kind of look at it again, I can say, oh, I really want to add that detail to it. So I do love that feature. And, it's a nice way to kind of say, hey, I like both. Now, they do have a pattern library coming up. It is still not available. Again, the system is in beta, so there's going to be a lot of features that are planned features that are not available yet. She also let me know that they do plan on having a yarn stash area, but that, again, is something that's probably not going to come this year, maybe next year. So it's in the very beta stages. It's in the baby stages, for sure. And then we have our maker profile. We can select our theme and, just kind of see what different things look like for us. And if I go to my maker landing page, which is what they call it, I can link this out so anybody can see it. Well, I think I have the option, actually. I can choose whether or not I believe, yes, show maker landing page or hide maker landing page. Yes, I was correct. So we can choose whether or not we want that to show up for everyone or whether we want it just to be private to ourselves. That's totally okay. But if it is public, then somebody could go to your link and they can see who you're a fan of, the things that you like, the projects that you've made or are working on, all of that good stuff, plus a little bit about you and all of your social details. Now, the nice thing about the GoSadi, because a lot of us are already using Ravelry and we have all of this great information on Ravelry, but Ravelry is absolutely positively not mobile friendly. So that makes us want to not use Ravelry, and sometimes there's other reasons that we might not want to use Ravelry. This integrates with Ravelry in a way that it can pull all of your previous projects and data from Ravelry into GoSadi. And if you do want to continue to use Ravelry, but you just don't want to use the actual platform, then it can be a two-way. So you can update it on GoSadi and it will go into Ravelry and update your Ravelry projects. That is something that I really like because I do have a need to use Ravelry, but the archaic kind of structure of the website or the, different variables make me not want to use Ravelry. It's a little bit of a struggle for me. So I love the fact that this is a much cleaner profile. It is a much more visually appealing. It is much more ADA compliant. In fact, they let me know on kind of the intro call that all of the colors, everything are like top tier ADA compliant. So it is completely visually and, all of that good stuff able to be used by anybody that kind of struggles in those areas. That is for sure a major win for me. Now, one of the things that I am kind of struggling with as I go through is when I want to find new patterns. Right now, their browse feature's not that great. If I go to the kind of just look around and want to do that, it's still a little bit, let's say I want to look at hat patterns. I can browse these hat patterns over here. And one of the things that they have available is that it's going to pull in data. Let's just say I want a newsboy hat. I have no idea if they have newsboy hats on here. Okay, so when I do the search for the newsboy hat, I can then say I want certain designers, pattern names. I've got, I can say, no, I only want crochet patterns. I can say what skill level I want, what yarn weight I want. And not only do they show you the patterns on their own website, so these 3 patterns right here are listed on the GoSadi platform. They also do a search on Ravelry, and they will find all of the patterns that meet those criteria on Ravelry. But wait, there's more. They also search Etsy and will give you a link to all of the patterns that they find on Etsy. And they also search the entire internet and give you a link to all of the patterns on the internet. Now, one question that I had for them that was very important to me is, what about AI patterns? Ravelry is pretty good about not having AI patterns on their site, but Etsy and the internet are notorious for AI junk patterns. So I wanted to find out from them if that was something they were handling. And the answer that I got from Michelle was that yes, they are very aware that that is an issue and a concern, and they have some systems in place to block AI scam patterns. It is not fallible, like infallible. That's the word I'm looking for. It is not, like, something might squeak through. It's not perfect. It is not a perfect system. And AI is growing and advancing every day. So it's something that website designers have to constantly be working towards. But they are very well aware of it, and they want to try and provide to us, the users, a platform that is free of patterns and scams that are just not going to be our friend. So if you are searching on Etsy or the internet, this might be a better option that's going to help weed out some of that garbage that we don't want in there. Now, I do have one other thought on the Etsy side of things. One of the things that they have an ability to do is say, okay, well, I want to kind of say, no, I want a sport weight newsboy hat. I don't want the worsted weight ones. Now on Etsy, if you do a search for that, it can be a little bit challenging in finding the results because Etsy's not designed to give specific fields for each of those in pieces of information. So what the GoSadi platform does is it actually combs through and looks in all of the data. So it'll look at the name description, and then down here in the text, the details section, it will look for, okay, so see this says Red Heart Super Saver or other worsted weight yarn. Now, if you remember, I said I want sport weight yarn, and this gave me a hat that is worsted weight yarn. So it is not a perfect system. They are trying, but because of the detail that the designers on their end, it's just, yeah. So I'm going to definitely let them know that that's not, that it's not picking up correctly, that data. I mean, if it says worsted, it should be listed as a worsted, but there might be something in here that's flagging it as a sport weight as well. I don't know the answer to that, but that could be part of the issue and challenge is if they're getting conflicting information. I mean, that's a super cute hat. I love newsboy hats, just an FYI. So, it does have the ability to search for patterns. Now, one of the things that it does not, I'm going to take this sport off. One of the things that it does not have the ability to do, so for example, if we have this pattern right here from Pam Grice, might get that wrong, I can become a fan of this pattern because it is on the GoSadi platform. However, I cannot become a fan of any patterns that are on the Ravelry, the Etsy, or on the web yet. Again, they are working towards making something so that that's a possibility, but as of yet, that is not a feature. So if I find something on Etsy that I really like and I go out to it, I just have to, follow it on Etsy. I can't follow it where I am on the GoSadi platform. Again, one of those things, I would love to have that feature. It is supposedly in the works. We're on beta. I have to be patient. So those are some of the things. Oh, let me go through and show you just a little bit. I'm going to go back to my dashboard. And I want to show you one of my whips. So I have this Ebony Granny Square project, and if we go into whips, it allows you to put in the name of the pattern, who it's by, whether it's crochet, all of these different things. I can select what yarn I want to use, any additional yarns I might have. I can say what hook size I want to put on. I can say what my gauge is. I can add any photos that I want. And then down here, I also have a notes section. So for me, I have linked the actual pattern website that I pull from just with a link there. And then I'm adding text notes as I go. Over here, the private notes are just notes for me. Those, I have actually kind of pulled a little bit of the detail and formatted it in a way that I can read a little bit better so that when I'm on my phone, I can just pull that up and look at that a little bit easier. And then down here, it's got the status, whether I'm still working on it, frogged it, put it in timeout. You can add the completion date, and you can say whether or not you want any changes that I made to sync with Ravelry if you have your Ravelry connected. So that's a lot. So now let's kind of do a little quick I'm going to record my screen on my phone, and I'm going to show you what that looks like just so that you can kind of get that vibe as well, because that's going to be a whole different vibe for sure. And I'll just put some music to it so you can watch that as I go. It's going to be fairly brief, but it'll give you a little bit of an overview of what it looks like on a screen, a phone screen, instead of a desktop screen. So that was a lot. GoSadi, I gotta say, my first impression is that there are a lot of things that I hope that it will be able to do in the future. I do think I'm going to continue to use it because of how it integrates with Ravelry, and it is a lot cleaner to look at on my phone screen, which is a little bit important to me. I would say it's maybe not as important as it is to most or a lot of people, but it's definitely not something to not consider. There are definitely some things that I hope come with the GoSadi sooner rather than later. Does it replace Ravelry right now? No, absolutely not. Will it in the future? Maybe. There's a good chance. I don't know for sure, but I can hold out hope. Is it interesting? The pricing structure, I completely understand why they're pricing it. They don't make a commission on any of the patterns that are sold. They do charge the designers, they do charge the makers, and that's how they make their money. And I totally understand that. They do offer a free level, so if you don't need all the bells and whistles, then you can totally get away with a free level on this. And that's totally fine. So I think they're trying to price it at a point that's going to be manageable for most of us, not all of us for sure. But again, with that free version, that free level, then maybe that's all you need and you can get by with just that. For sure, if you don't need it connected to Ravelry, I think that would be fine. You can get most, and by connected to Ravelry, I mean that all of the patterns and stuff that maybe you've used over in Ravelry import over and you're continuing to update it so that it's talking back and forth. If you're just using GoSadi, then you might not need that Ravelry integration. I want to know, though, is this something that you're intrigued by? Is this something that you feel is a need in the marketplace? I want to hear from you what your initial thoughts are. If you're using GoSadi already or if you're familiar with it, is this a total mystery to you? This is the first time you hear about it? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next week. Farrah, frog us out of here. Ribbit.